Well, I will say this. Ours was very original. I have never heard of an Australian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely unique.
definitely a unique concept. I would
Yeah.
read it just to experience the unique concept, so that
Yeah, that's fair, Jayden. Honestly, but I can't say I've ever seen Australian inspired industrialized fantasy stories. Like the trend right now is all the Asian fantasies. So this is definitely interesting. So a share on the bookshelf.
it's either that or like fae romance. And
Yeah.
I was at Barnes and Noble the other day, and I was like, there's a sea of tables with all like romantasy and fae romance and
Yeah.
different authors, and I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
It's what sells, so people write it. But
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not treating kind of like the book industry like it's
The movie industry.
it's the movie industry, like it's
Yeah.
the
It's a
product
formula.
industry, like as a product, like, oh, you like this block of notepads? We have more.
yeah, it's
Right.
interesting. Like with the movie industry right now, it's just the same oversaturated generic superhero movies, and with the book world, it's the same generic oversaturated romantasy novels.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Her Reading Life podcast. I'm so thrilled that you're here once again. And if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Shira Rodriguez, and I'm a novelist, podcaster, and filmmaker who is the girl behind this podcast. And I love being able to just inspire you with life-changing books and helping you and inspiring you to create life-changing stories, whether through writing or, film or reading, whatever. Just make your life an incredible story that can truly change the world. However, if you are not new, then you've probably been following our series of challenges that I have been kind of playing with some of my writer friends. We had this crazy writing challenge that I kind of borrowed from Vanity Fair, where they had a Hollywood screenwriter try to write a script in 10 minutes. Really, it was 10 minutes in 3 rounds, but she was basically writing a script. So when I watched this video, I thought, oh my goodness, that would be so much fun to do as like a challenge with some writer friends. So I invited some of my own writer friends to try this challenge, but we did it with ChatGPT because some time ago we had a whole podcast episode where one of my writer friends basically laid out what the strong female character trope is by asking ChatGPT to give us like the paramount, the quintessential example of the strong female character. And it was absolutely hilarious. We enjoyed it so much. Everybody that listened to that episode enjoyed it so very much that I decided, hey, why not do a whole challenge based on us trying to fix that same premise that ChatGPT gave us. So we were working with ChatGPT, and now this is round 3 where we're going to have the end of this game. So hopefully you have enjoyed this challenge all the way through, but kind of to just go over it just in case you forgot or in case anything, just in case it's a little bit confusing. Here are the basic rules, and I'm going to read them off because I don't remember them off the top of my head. The rules of the game. Round 1. You have 10 minutes to come up with an improved story concept. Shout freeze if you want to explain something to the audience. Needless to say, we did not do that. Editor goes over the concept and gives comments. And then we step into round 2, where we have 10 minutes to improve the outline and the concept based on the editor's notes, create a rough outline. Editor goes over the rough outline and makes suggestions. Round 3, you have 10 minutes to improve the outline. ChatGPT creates an outline based on the original prompt, and the editor gives overall thoughts and rating between AI concept and writers. So yeah, we're kind of basically figuring out, can you actually beat ChatGPT? Can human writers actually beat ChatGPT? And we had so much fun exploring this by playing a game. And it's crazy because sometimes you don't realize how some of the most interesting things you can learn, you actually learn in the most fun way. Yeah, through life, because that's kind of how life is. So, without further ado, I'm going to let you jump into this finale of our writing challenge, and I hope that you enjoy.
So yeah,
we have 10 minutes to finish this.
Yep, you guys can do it. You're almost there.
Thank you for your vote of confidence. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that is it for me. And I will pass it back off to you guys.
Thank you. Let me know when you start the timer.
Whenever you're ready. Y'all ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Something I was thinking about when Byron was talking about the chosen one, because I hate the chosen one trope.
How dare you, Shira?
I'm sorry. I can't stand it. I'm like, you just think that just because you're the chosen one, you think you can do this? Like, no, absolutely anybody could have done the thing.
The chosen one.
No, because you need to be perseverant, and if you set any goal in your mind, absolutely anybody can do it. But anyway.
I think a big problem with the chosen one is that like it's just done so poorly nowadays. Nowadays it's just like, oh, I'm very beautiful, but the boys do not notice, so this makes me the chosen one. Like stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like
you can do the chosen one well.
Yeah, the chosen one can be done very well.
But
I do like it when it's flipped on its head as well. So like if like she thinks that she's the one who like has to do this because she's interpreting all these myths one way, whereas really it's just more like, I don't know, I guess you could say wishful thinking, and she realizes that by maybe the worst moment is when she realizes that.
Ooh, that's a good idea, especially for like the Dark Night of the Soul thing. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be that could be a good subversion of the trope. I mean, you look at like Katniss as a trope. She's sort of a chosen one trope, except like she doesn't want to be, and they all force her to be.
That was a good one, yeah.
Like a propaganda tool. That wouldn't be this, but like that's just like a subversion of that trope in a sense. But so yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe she could be like, oh, this must mean, or X must mean this.
Right.
So I need to do XYZ, and then eventually realizes that just wasn't true to begin with.
Right.
But
yeah,
still, and I don't know, some good themes could be portrayed through that. But
8 minutes. 8.
Okay. So I guess Dark Knight of the Soul. Should we do that for?
Yeah, because I feel like it's the most expedient way. If we want to change things, we can later.
Yeah.
Or actually, I don't know. I don't think we have time. But anyway.
If you know the ending, you can work your way to it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Interpretations.
So sad.
So
Okay.
that's the worst moment. The big surprise.
So
So
I feel like the fact that she realizes she's not the chosen one is also a big surprise. So we've got to have some other big surprise.
Oh, wait.
What is the big surprise?
The big surprise could be when she realizes that, and then the worst moment is her groveling in that fact.
Maybe. Or maybe the big surprise is that that's her dad. I know I'm giving a look, I am your father thing.
We can do better than that.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're not supposed to be talking either.
Hey, you were talking and getting all sorts of ideas when I was
True.
Big surprise. Maybe her grandmother dies.
I actually like that.
Tragedy on top of tragedy.
Is it a good thing that her grandmother dies at this point? Because wasn't she supposed to be like not helpful?
Well,
where are we? What was the grandmother again? Was she helpful or unhelpful? Like the wise old lady or
talisman? Yeah.
What if throughout the story her grandmother has had these really sort of like strange behaviors, and sometimes she'll just like disappear from behind a locked door, or like something really weird will happen, and then she realizes that her grandmother is like actually this spirit, and that's somehow connected to the story. And at the midpoint,
6 minutes.
And at the midpoint, her grandmother basically disappears for one last time to give her the power that she has.
I like that.
Okay, cool. So her grandmother,
But wait a minute, Chris. If she's the spirit lady, wasn't she the one to basically tell her that she's the chosen one? So is the spirit lying or not?
maybe
is
a subversion.
half truth, or is it part of her own psyche that she's imagining this?
Maybe she's like the inheritor of it, but like her grandmother initially tells her like, you're part of this long lineage. The power will pass to you someday. This is how you can start to like lean into it. But then she doesn't like fully inherit it until the midpoint.
Yeah, because remember, guys, there's supposed to be like some kind of magical ancestral legacy going on here.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe the grandmother was the chosen one, but never actually went to like. That could be a subversion.
Yeah, like the grandmother never embraced her destiny.
Yeah. So now the younger one is forced to, even though like she's not in fact the one who was chosen.
I like that, because that was the original idea I was going to say, but I thought it was going to take too much time. That maybe her brother was the chosen one, and she kind of just has to fall into his what's it called? Footsteps? I don't know.
Yeah.
Shoes?
So maybe up until the midpoint, she thinks that her role in the story is just to protect the grandmother, who has like the knowledge and the magic of their people. And so like her whole goal is like, my grandmother is what's protecting the land and the people, and she has the power, so I need to protect her. Because she's the chosen one. And then around the midpoint, like all of this changes.
I like that. That actually sounds so good. What do you think, Jayden?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much time do we have, Byron?
3 minutes. Almost
3 minutes. Charming.
Okay, so we need the climax and maybe the denouement.
Okay.
So big comeback. She doesn't. That's just kind of, I don't know, I guess. Yeah. Cool. And then final battle. She goes to confront Kale. And I guess defeats him. How would she do that though?
Yeah. I'm guessing something about the serpent, the water serpent thing that we used up somewhere here. Let me see. So
she realizes she wasn't the chosen one, so maybe the twist is that I don't know.
But also the schizophrenic Irishman, spirited donkey, and itinerant Chinese miner, I feel like we haven't used them to their fullest potential. So I feel like maybe they have like they are keys to something that maybe she didn't realize she had. I don't know.
So what if like everybody brings with them the magic of their home country, and that drives some people mad, and so like the villain is using the magic from his country, let's say the Scottish Highlands, to like do evil. And until now she's seen this as like a threat. Everybody else's magic is a threat to my people and our way of life. But now she realizes that the schizophrenic Irishman and the miner and the transmogrified donkey all have like their own power that is actually an asset, which I know is like cheesy and Disney, but like if you did it right, and maybe if like their mental illness was actually like
2 minutes, guys.
Yeah, so like all of these things that we're seen as like burdens somehow become like assets.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, cool. So you guys can keep talking. We gotta get this done.
Yeah. Okay. So happy ending resolution. And we can't just say the story wraps up and see what life is like now that the problem is solved. So how does the story wrap up? Because basically, in the final battle, I assume that Kale is defeated, or are we going with a redemption arc? for him.
I don't think so. He doesn't sound like
Yeah.
a redeem kind of guy.
Yeah.
Kale has
Okay.
an expiry date.
So he dies, I guess, and the story wraps up. Does her grandmother's spirit come back, or
Moana.
I haven't watched one actually.
It's not a bad movie. It's actually pretty good.
I really
No,
want to watch it.
Solid movie. Moana.
Kale Wiltz.
Pleasant surprise.
Look at that until now. Kale Wiltz, they're on. Does everyone go home, or does everyone live? Maybe they make a new. Maybe she
Ill
becomes.
Wilts. Oh my gosh.
Everyone gets a cookie.
Sweet. The donkey can bake.
How much do we have? I think we have like a minute left.
Nope. Time is up.
Okay.
Okay,
Are we
save
we
us, Byron.
stuck with the cookie?
No, that was just a joke.
Okay,
You're not
so
supposed to-
what is the final round here?
What?
What is the final round we're doing?
This
now?
is the final round.
Well, but doesn't Byron get to like edit what we've just talked about first?
Yeah, this is the final round. Like he
Oh,
gets
yeah,
to
yeah.
So
edit what we
I
talked
do
about.
edit it one last time.
This is
Okay.
the last time.
Okay,
Like,
got
but we don't get to fix anything originally
it.
in
Gotcha.
the idea. But we may
Okay.
have to do it again. Like
So
I don't know.
it's definitely more fleshed out. We still don't have anything going on with the lore around the characters, and what is the prophecy, what is the chosen one. I think we got like a foundation laid that it happens. There's just no details yet. So yeah, got to figure that out. Let's see here. I think we could have some poetic justice with the final battle, and maybe Izzy can like take him down in the same way her brother had tried to. So like a duel, or maybe like a big showdown type thing, Wyatt Earp style. Let's see here. Yeah, the beginning's all solid. Grandmother is a spirit lady. Okay, so yeah, we may need some just little tiny bit of lore around that. Are there a lot of spirits in this country? Is that a common occurrence? Does it have to do with the maybe she is the rainbow serpent? Yeah. Character's plan totally falls apart, so we need a plan so that it can fall apart. I guess whatever their resistance operations look like, how many old crazy farmers she's able to get to help her, or I guess miners. Yeah, and then I think we need a more clear end goal for Kale. Like, what is like his end goal? Just like amassing all of the mining plots, and then like, yeah, he's got all the gold, and he's a happy little Scrooge McDuck at the end of. Or maybe it's something a little bit more sinister, like why gold? Because I like earlier you guys said that like his power like drains stuff, so maybe like he gets his power from gold, or something. I don't know. Like I think that's pretty much it. Like we have it's an outline, it's rough, but I really think that's just the last thing we need to get over the edge is what the heck is the prophecy in the myths. What is the chosen one supposed to do? Because if she's interpreting all these things incorrectly, like there needs to be signs and that she's supposed to be looking out for, that type of thing. Yeah. Is there like a bad guy she's supposed to that the chosen one's supposed to be on the lookout for? Like maybe she could incorrectly interpret that it's Kale. Maybe like in the myth there's something like there's this evil creature, like we could do the horned lizard, and so she interprets like his draining abilities as like being the horned lizard or something.
We forgot about the horned lizard.
Well, it was an idea. You don't have to listen to the editor. I'll say that's pretty much it for me on the end. Is we just need to flesh out what the prophecies are and all the signs and stuff.
Oh my goodness, we forgot the twist, the trope twist. I completely forgot about that. But
Okay.
at this point, this is a twist. This whole thing.
Yeah, I won't request a trope twist. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. Do you guys get to edit it or go through it one last time? How are we doing this?
I think this is round 3, so
Okay.
I think we weren't allowed. But I think it doesn't make sense that you get editor's notes.
Maybe we can each give one more suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys go first. I need to think.
Okay. So we do 10 more minutes?
I mean, if we're just giving one
Just
suggestion.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
one. Okay, I see. Oh, okay, I see. Wait, okay. I totally misunderstood.
So like one suggestion, 1 minute each.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you can go first, Chris.
I don't think it has to be timed if it's just one suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna do this spontaneously. Byron, give me like the biggest problem, and I'll try to give like a quick fix.
The prophecies, the lore, the chosen one. Like, what is it that she's interpreting incorrectly, and why does she feel that she is the rainbow serpent, so to speak?
Yeah. So the prophecy is that the 7th incarnation of the rainbow spirit, after the white men come, is going to have to sorry, I know it's cheesy, but like she's going to have to restore the land, basically. And she sort of interprets this as the outsiders are a threat and they need to be like dealt with.
Okay.
And so she misinterprets what restore the land means or like heal it means. And basically because of that, doesn't see as much of the value in her friends, her bag of ragtag rebels. And she has to sort of lean into that and rethink what the prophecy means. And it doesn't have to be seven generations after the white men come or whatever. It can just be like, for whatever reason, it's her. Like this is her job.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Restore the land. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we adding this?
I can add it in
that would be
while
perfect.
one of the next to you goes.
Okay. Jayden, you can go first if you want.
Okay, I think part of her knows that she's misinterpreting it. However,
okay.
But that is like just sort of part of her character's inner conflict in terms of like, oh, she wants to be the one to avenge her brother. She wants to be the one to make her grandmother, her land proud because she feels like she hasn't done that or whatsoever. So she part of her knows she's misinterpreting it. And maybe some people bring that to her attention at some points. Like, I don't think like maybe saying like, oh, I don't think that's what it means. But she is so adamant about it because she is so focused on avenging her brother and bringing justice that she ignores the signs that she is misinterpreting it. And so when it eventually is revealed that she has misinterpreted it, it's like a much bigger blow. That could be sort of the driving force for her her internal conflict.
Solid.
I like that. That's really cool. Okay, so I have an idea, but I'm gonna take Chris's idea. What's the next biggest problem that needs to be solved?
The side characters, I think. The side characters, or actually no, our villain. Like what is so like he wants to get these plots of land, but why is he just
okay?
Does it have to do with his magic?
Which is bigger, the lack of the plan in this story? Because I know that you also said, or the lack of the villain's intentions and rounding out.
I think to start a story, it's more important to know what the villain's doing.
Sweet.
Okay.
You
build, what your main character is going to do to combat him. Like I think that needs to be fleshed out. What his end goals are.
Okay.
Or how he goes about it, type thing.
What if the villain used to be his brother's best friend?
Ooh, okay. Lawman turned bad type trope.
I don't know, but they study together and everything, so he knows everything that the brother knows. He knows his habits. He knows even things about her, secrets about her that maybe his brother knew that she didn't know about herself. So he knows that she's not the chosen one and all that stuff. Probably too.
Backstabbing best friend.
That's good. Now we have some personal conflict between the two. We got beef. That's good.
Sweat Cooper type situation.
Could you add that for me, Jayden? Or I'll just I don't know where to add that. I don't know. Let me see.
That could be like Dark Moment of the Soul.
Okay, because she would know at some point. Let's see, where's Dark Moment of the Soul?
Like she knows, maybe she knows that it's her brother's friend, but she doesn't realize how much
she knows about her. Yeah,
how much she knows about her.
Okay, so in that case, then what we're gonna say is receives news that her brother dies, and so she dies at her brother's best friend's. Oh, this is messy, but whatever. Brother's best friend's mine. But she blames him because she thinks that he just was careless.
Wait, so she doesn't think that her brother was murdered at first?
No, until maybe later. Maybe at the first turning point, she realized that he was
Well, no, because if she's receiving news that her brother died, then it'd be under the surface.
Okay, that her brother. So he doesn't just die; he's murdered.
Right, because he was standing up to fight him. Remember?
Murdered by his best friend.
Dang, that's cold.
His best friend, Kale. I don't. Kale. I don't remember his. Yeah. And then, so what we would have to do is that we would have to then pull. Where is it? The worst moment. Hale tells her she's not the chosen one.
Nice.
She's not the chosen one. Or wishful thinking.
I love that.
He knew everything about her brother. Whatever. So sad. Okay. So that is pretty much all we get to do, I think. So overall, how does this read then?
You want me to read through it?
Please. That would be amazing.
Okay, so should we go back to the original ChatGPT as well and remind everybody? Okay, cool.
And feel free to fill in the cracks when we didn't write everything down, because I feel like there's a lot that didn't wind up.
Yeah. Okay, so ChatGPT concept. Isabella is a Merrick, a skilled warrior raised in a remote mountain village, discovers she is the last heir to a forgotten legacy when her home is destroyed by the ruthless warlord Cale Draith. Armed with her late grandmother's mysterious talisman, she sets out on a perilous journey to stop Cale from unleashing an ancient evil. Along the way, Isabella assembles a team of unlikely allies, a rogue, a disgraced knight, and a wisecracking sidekick. Betrayal, hidden powers, and a fiery transformation lead to a climactic battle where Isabella embraces her destiny as the Phoenix, defeating darkness but at a bittersweet cost. And so we turned that into 1800s Australian fantasy cowgirl named Izzy Coolabah. Oh my gosh, that name. Lives in the mountains where the gold rush is happening, interacts with a miner, warlord cowboy Cale Draith starts to amass power, begins a cartel. She's caring for her senile old Meemaw.
Well, that changed.
A schizophrenic Irishman, a spirited donkey. My page jumped. Okay, and a Chinese miner, a watery transformation linked with the rainbow serpent. Villain can draw resources from around him to sustain his mighty and devours, but he burns what's around him. Okay, so here we go, our outline. So the beginning establishes Izzy, her brother, her grandmother, the setting, what's going on in the town. So that's all of the crime that's happening. Her brother's trying to set things straight. His best friend's the one behind it all. Grandma's a little crazy and seems to be able to teleport, right? No? Awesome. Okay. The big change, inciting incident. Receives news that her brother is murdered by his best friend, Cale. So there was going to be some kind of big fight between the two of them to straighten things out. The big decision, the first turning point, she realizes that with the town in lawlessness led by Kale and the land drained by his magic powers, her farm, her grandmother, and her townspeople are threatened, and she has to step up and lead a resistance movement from the hills. And so then somewhere along these lines, she's hearing these old tales and thinking that she's some kind of chosen one. So we're going into Act 2 now of the adventure. Only problem is she doesn't know what she's supposed to do to get all this stuff done, and is rescued at some point from something by a donkey, a schizophrenic Irishman, and a rogue Chinese guy. Awesome. So they're miners doing something in this area and have beef with Kale because they want to help. So now we have the big surprise. So Grandma turns out to be a spirit lady. Woohoo, Mima. That explains all of the weird stuff. So she disappears one last time to give Izzy the power she has. Allegedly. Because then Izzy finds out that she's the chosen one. My pages keep jumping. This is awful. Okay. Yeah. And then Kale tells her she's not the chosen one, and her interpretations of the myth were wishful thinking. He knew everything about her because he knew her brother. This is all really, really sad. And so even though Izzy realizes that she misinterpreted the prophecy, she thought restoring the land meant getting rid of foreign magic. Now she acknowledged that making her grandmother proud. Restoring the land means welcoming the newcomers and learning to share power. So then I guess, so Grandma does come back, gives her the powers, and then she teams up with Donkey, Schizo, and Rogue to take down the big baddie, our good old crime boss. Okay, awesome. So they have this big epic battle, lots of magic. Izzy can't do it without the Misfits' help, so she brings down Kale with the power of friendship and their actual powers. And yep, so the power she previously viewed as a threat but realizes it's not. Kale wilts. Yay. Okay, they're all happy and everyone goes home. No, Shira, everyone got a cookie, then they go home.
You know what's so funny to me? I'm realizing that like the first half of this story is treated so seriously and with like gravitas, and then the last half just becomes so cheesy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
It's giving like Mushu vibes or something.
So there it is. There are the two stories. The attempt to take a very tropey story and make it into something better.
Okay.
I think we
So now-
somewhat succeeded.
I think
Yeah.
so. Now we just have to see the outline that ChatGPT created. Because Chris, you made that one, or you had
Yes.
ChatGPT have that one. Okay, can you read that one out for us? Where'd you
I
put it?
did. Let me redo it because the original one, it was just doing like a random fantasy thing. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take our 1800s Australian fantasy cowboy story and put that into ChatGPT.
But tell it to put a whole bunch of tropes. Like,
Yeah.
All right, can you guys beat the robot? Can you beat the AI? This is the defining question of the era. Are we all going to get replaced
Yes.
by Wall-E?
Okay, here we go. It's still generating, so give me 3 seconds. There we go.
He's thinking, guys.
Also, I feel like our story, like, you could either, based on how sort of cheesy it got in the end, you could either make it very, like, you could lean into that, but you could also give it sort of like a Stephen King sort of like supernatural thriller vibe, if that makes sense.
like that.
I don't know if you guys have read like Dark Tower or something like that, but you could take all those tropes and give them sort of like this mysterious ending. Anyway, here's what ChatGPT came up with.
Okay.
Izzy, a sharpshooting, no-nonsense cowgirl, lives a rugged life in the Australian mountains near a bustling gold rush town. She spends her days mining scraps, tending to her quirky and senile Mima, and keeping troublers in line, the rugged but kind-hearted outcast. Cale Draith, a charismatic and ruthless warlord cowboy, begins taking over the local mines by force. Using his strange destructive power to draw life from the land, he leaves dead soil, dry rivers, and fear in his wake. Kale's gang demands Izzy abandon her claim and land. When she refuses, her home is burned, leaving her and Mima destitute. As Kale's reach spreads, Izzy is drawn into the fight for survival and justice. The Chinese miner introduces Izzy to an ancient legend about the rainbow serpent, a mystical force tied to the life and water of the land. Through a series of encounters with sacred sites, Izzy begins to feel a strange connection to water, hinting at a destiny she doesn't yet understand. Kale drains the town's last water, devastating the ecosystem and the people. His cartel becomes unstoppable, mining deeper and greedier. Then the Irishman's unstable nature causes friction, and an act of sabotage she unintentionally triggers leads to the group's capture by Kale. Izzy must rally the team even as doubt about their chances grows.
Where are we?
I just finished the second act.
Okay.
So third act, Kale begins mining the mountain's heart, threatening to destroy the land entirely. Izzy and her team launch a desperate assault. At the battle's peak, Izzy connects fully with the rainbow serpent's power, her body becoming a conduit for life-giving water. She summons torrential rains that revive the land and weaken Kale's fiery energy. In a final showdown, Izzy uses her new abilities and sharpshooting skills to sever Kale's connection to the land's energy. As his powers fail, the land consumes him, turning the mountain into a verdant sanctuary. So in the resolution, we have the healing the land trope. The rains continue, restoring the rivers and making the land fertile again. The town begins to recover, and Izzy becomes a symbol of resilience. With Kale defeated, Izzy rebuilds her life with Mima, her friends, and the spirited donkey by her side. Found family trope. Though the rainbow serpent's power still lingers within her, Izzy knows her fight to protect the land and its people is far from over. So that's based on like the modified story that we created. The original one that ChatGPT made in just sort of like a fantasy context was, I would argue, probably significantly worse and significantly less like fleshed out. So I'll just read Act 1 and Act 3.
Okay.
The hero's mundane life. Isabella lives in her small mountain village where she is a standout warrior but feels stifled by the quiet, repetitive life. She trains daily under her wise and mysterious grandmother, who drops cryptic hints about Isabella's untapped potential. During a festival, the village is attacked by the warlord's forces. Isabella fights valiantly, but her grandmother sacrifices herself to save the villagers. Her final words hint that Isabella is destined for something far greater. The warlord's minions leave behind a chilling warning about an ancient prophecy. With her brother urging her to flee to safety, Isabella wrestles with guilt and doubt. She ultimately decides to embrace her destiny, taking her grandmother's talisman, a mysterious artifact tied to her family's heritage, and leaving the village. In Act 3, we have the storming of the fortress. The team infiltrates the warlord's stronghold in a daring and seemingly suicidal plan. Each member of the group has a critical role with moments of sacrifice and heroism. At the hero's low point, Isabella confronts the warlord and is overwhelmed by his power. He taunts her about her parents' failure and her own inadequacies, nearly breaking her spirit. In her darkest moment, Isabella recalls her grandmother's teachings and the sacrifices of her ancestors. She fully embraces her role as the phoenix. Who you are? Exactly. She fully embraces her role as a phoenix, unlocking her true power in a dramatic, fiery transformation. So, like, I think that you can see that the way that we kind of gave it a new context and a new setting even helped ChatGPT give a more interesting story. And ChatGPT's story wasn't awful, but I think ours had, like, over the course of our conversation, I think ours had a little bit more, like, we were able to reverse some of those tropes a little bit better until maybe around the midpoint when, as Jayden pointed out, it got a little bit cheesy again. Yeah.
So that first round, you guys were really taking your time and like combing through and wanting to flesh out all the details, and then you realize, oh no, 10 minutes is not a lot of time. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. I love that.
That was great.
Right?
That was a ton of fun.
Something I noticed that ChatGPT had the strong female character, the typical strong female character things at the beginning, and I actually love how we changed that. Yeah. And even though you added what we had changed, it automatically changed it to be like the strong female character, the sharpshooting, no nonsense cowgirl.
Right. Instead
I was like,
the duty bound, taking care of her grandma.
Exactly.
No flaws, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think ChatGPT is going to be replacing us anytime soon.
I did ask it for the cheesiest possible. Like, I asked it for all of the tropes.
Right.
I didn't ask it for something like creative.
It dished them out for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I love that. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Sweet. So rating, Byron, if these were books and you only had to go by the outline. I know ours was like super sketchy.
So between what am I writing between our outline versus chat's outline of the
which
Australian
one,
fantasy?
I guess which one would, like, out of 5, which one would you pick up?
Well, there's a lot of similarities between them. Like, just the problem is like chat was able to flesh out details that we weren't able to because
Right.
it's like it took things in the direction that I think you guys were intending to.
Right.
So, like, honestly, they're kind of the same story, you know.
Right.
I think like the main difference is just our beginnings with Izzy. But like the talisman and like the land eating powers, like all of that, I don't think, like, if you guys have been able to actually finish and provide an outline as detailed as this one is instead of just one,
that would probably take
been
another hour, and we've been here for a little while.
It would have been even more similar. So I don't really think it's like fair to rate between them. I mean, obviously this one's more polished because it's ChatGPT and he can snap his fingers and poof, perfection. But
well, sort of.
like the stories are pretty similar. But I don't know. I mean, it's not something I would read personally, but
well, I will say this: ours was very original. I have never heard of an Australian.
Yeah, definitely unique.
Definitely a unique concept. I would read it just to experience the unique concept, so that
that's fair, Jayden. Honestly, but I can't say I've ever seen Australian inspired industrialized fantasy stories. Like, the trend right now is all the Asian fantasies. So this is definitely interesting. So a share on the bookshelf.
It's either that or like fae romance. And
Yeah.
I was at Barnes and Noble the other day, and I was like, "Where?" I was there, a sea of tables with all like romantasy and fae romance, and with different authors. And I'm like, "What? Why?
Yeah,
it's what sells, so people write it." But
exactly, because they're not treating kind of like the book industry like it's
the movie industry.
It's the movie industry, like it's the like
it's
product industry, like as a product, like, oh, you like this block of notepads, we have more.
It's interesting. Like with the movie industry right now, it's just the same oversaturated generic superhero movies, and with the book world, it's the same generic oversaturated romantasy novels. It's like, it's what gets tickets or it's what sells. So that's what, it's very corporatized now, and they don't really care.
Well, and part of that, you know, is I mean, it's a business. So the publishing house isn't out to necessarily release fantastic art. They want to make money. So literary agents are going to have a shopping list of the types of book they're looking for. And that's why, even though they think you have a really awesome story, they're like, it just doesn't really fit me right now because we're trying to get that sells in the immediate market. So it's risky to take a new idea and throw it out there and see if people like it.
Yes, for sure. That's why I love just combing through independently published books, because you have a much higher chance of finding something that's original and well written and like will actually give you like a really good story instead of just the same sort of cookie cutter plot. Or you have to like do like a deep search in like at Barnes and Noble. You go to like the niche sections, like maybe the fantasy, like the actual fantasy section instead of the romantasy section, and you got to like comb through the books, read a few synopses, and find something you like. I mean, I know people love Brandon Sanderson. I've never read anything from him. One of my best friends is a huge Brandon Sanderson fan, and he is always raving about him and just how original he is with his fantasy, and how different he's able to make all of his stories while also tying them all into each other. And so that's something that I want to try to read at some point, but
they're really good.
That's what I hear. I hear they're
I have to say, I have to read them. I had their whole section, and I was with my best friend, and we were going through the bookstore, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's all these Brandon Sanderson books. And I'm like, there's just, and it's really funny because you had all the guys who love the fantasies. There was a whole bunch of fantasy books, and they were all walking down and talking about it. I was like, oh, okay, I need to read this to know what on earth everybody's talking about.
Yeah, for me, it's like, which one do I start with? Because
yeah, that's the thing. I'm kind of terrified of going down the rabbit hole.
I started with the Mistborn trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the first one, basically, when he released it, he fooled everybody into like it's a standalone. So it reads like a standalone, and then you find out it's actually an entire trilogy. So like you can read that first book, and then if you like it or not, keep going. And then if you really liked it, there's like a second trilogy that takes place afterwards, and like a bunch of novellas and stuff. So I think Mistborn's a pretty good entry point.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will never start Stormlight Archive as much as I want to, just because it's so huge.
Oh, it's his best though. It's his best.
That's what everybody says. But I don't know. Like I've tried his second Mistborn trilogy. I have mixed feelings about it.
So here's my take on the second Mistborn trilogy. The second Mistborn trilogy is written in the style of like Victorian pulp fiction, and there's actually like references to that in the stories. And I think it's just him having a fun time. Like it's not his best literature.
It is. I feel like and I'm reading through the second one right now, but I feel like in the first one it felt so formulated. And maybe that was just my internal writer just being like, oh dude, I can see what you're doing here. But it's just like with the original trilogy, it didn't feel like that. And like I had no idea what he was doing. He's just pulling all sorts of tricks out of his hat and that kind of thing. But with this, I was just like, it just felt very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like the characters were fun and stuff, but the original trilogy, like the third book in that is one of my all-time favorite books. Like it's up there with Harry Potter for me. But yeah, that's definitely a good fantasy if you're looking for that.
Yeah, I hear they're great. Yeah, my friend, he said that with the Mistborn trilogy, he has the first one and the second one, and that there are going to be 2 more Mistborn trilogies.
Yes.
And that like the last one is going to be like cyberpunk or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is a trilogy of trilogies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, he seems like Brandon Sanderson, like you look at his videos and his writing like seminars, and he seems just like a super unassuming, chill guy. And then like you look at his books and you're like, how does he get so much done? Like, and he's so smart. He's so intelligent. He's so intelligent. It's crazy. Like that's the type of like writer that I would like aspire to be, like someone who can write fast and write really good stories and really well.
You know, it's I remember him talking about his writing process, you know, because like you kind of get worried, you know, when you see a guy who's like, yeah, I wrote, 4 books over 2 years and all these secret novels on top of my original novels and stuff. But for him, it's very much just having fun, you know, like a lot of people treat writing like work. I mean, if you're trying to make it as an author, you need to have that dedication and you need to have that, I guess, consistency in trying to get X amount of words, that kind of thing. Just not necessarily like being tough on yourself, but it's just fun for him. And he wrote all those secret novels only writing 3 pages a night. Like that's all it takes. You know, it's like he would do his normal editing and stuff for Stormlight Archives during the day, and then because writing is fun for him, he would just sit down and write like 3 pages. Because the secret novels are, I mean, it's 1,000 words. It's roughly he just like write 1,000 words.
Yeah, that's what I try to do every day.
Like if you write 1,000 words every day, 3 pages, you're at 30,000 words by the end of the month. And so if you're trying to write a 100,000 word novel, which is about 300 pages, if you write just 3 pages every day, you have your first draft done within 3 months. Like you can write the whole book, multiple drafts over the course of a year if you just stay consistent.
Even before working on these episodes, I honestly would watch the video over and over again because it was just so funny. There were moments that I was like, oh my word, that was just hilarious. Jayden, Byron, and Chris are just, I don't know what it is, but when they all get together, there's this crazy, crazy chemistry that is insane and hilarious all at the same time, and I love it so much. Yeah, it's hard to beat that chemistry. That it's just really fun. And this is actually really crazy because I thought that this exercise was going to be more fun than anything else, and it was absolutely fun. But I learned so many things just in general about storytelling and even about working with everybody. It was just I think I learned a lot even through that crazy, hilarious challenge. And sometimes I feel like we take our jobs too seriously. We take our writing too seriously. We think, oh, we have to, pummel through. We have to write something that will actually sell. We have to write something that is like from the depths of our heart. We have to bleed on the page. And we say all these things, but we don't realize that sometimes some of the most delightful moments in our writing, in our life, are going to come from having fun, from thinking, what would be interesting if I would add here? Like, if I was reading this book, what would I want to read? If you're doing film, if I was watching a movie, what would I want to happen at this point? Like, what would be like that fun scene that I'm like, I remember this movie because that fun scene, Every movie has, I think, that fun scene that you just love. Because it's so fun. The concept was just so enjoyable and juicy. I feel like that's something that I've been doing in my own writing recently, where if I don't know what I'm going to do, then I end up basically thinking to myself, what would I want to happen in the plot at this point? What would I want to see the story do? What would I want to see this character do? Who would I want to see the characters interact with? What kind of a situation would I be like, oh my word, how are they going to tackle this? How are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? All these things. And I feel like we underestimate that as writers. We underestimate the play and the delight of it. And I think that's what keeps the experience fresh and exciting and keeps you from burnout. When you're like, what would be fun? What would be totally off the wall, but kind of crazy and kind of fun too? What would be unusual here that I'm like, I have no idea where this is going? Could you explore that route? Is there a way in your writing that you could say one day, like when you sit down to write, I'm going to add a rainbow, okay? I'm going to add a rainbow to my story, which is a thriller. What does the rainbow have to do with it? But it's your job as the writer to tie it together. I remember I had an exercise at my writing group where we had pictures and we had to tie these pictures together into like a story. And we had one of them was supposed to be the plot, the other was supposed to be the setting, and the other one was supposed to be the characters. Or I think one of them was supposed to be the theme. I don't remember. But the point is, we ended up getting such an interesting idea that actually ended up coming into my novel, but I completely didn't realize that at the time. It was literally just a picture of a person outside and a mirror, and the mirror became an essential part of eventually my novel because I wrote the short story. We had like 10 minutes or something like that. It was like another writing challenge, but that writing challenge, I enjoyed the concept so much. And the spontaneity of it was just so delightful because I was able to explore something that I normally don't explore, An idea that I'm like, where is this going to go? I have no idea, but let's explore that route. And I think that it keeps the journey alive and vivid and fresh in a writer's mind or even in life, just that leap. And so many times in life, we're so scared of routes that we don't know how we're going to deal with them. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to be no worse off than you were. So yeah, that's pretty much my little takeaway. And I would love to hear what your takeaways were from this challenge. I would love to hear your thoughts. And I'm sure the guys would too. So definitely text them, or not text them. Good Lord. So definitely DM them. Leave a kind word for them too, because they're amazing. Actually, feel free to leave any messages for any of my guests. I will absolutely be more than happy to relay it back to them. But yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful for you and for sticking with us on this fun, crazy ride. And I hope that you have an incredible day. And until next time, continue to live, give, and repeat. And I'll see you next time.